Hello and welcome to Quest Recapped. Today, we will be going through the 2016 action-adventure fantasy film, Moana. Maui is a trickster demigod of the wind and sea, who could shapeshift with the power of his magical fish hook. And a century ago, he attempted to steal the heart of the mother island, Te Fiti, which has the power to create life. The void of its heart causes Te Fiti to crumble into darkness. Meanwhile, Maui, who possessed the heart, was confronted by Te Ka, a demon of earth and fire. And ever since that incident, Maui was never seen again, and his magical fish hook and Te Fiti were lost somewhere in the sea. This folklore is passed down from generation to generation. 1,000 years later, on the Polynesian island of Motunui, Moana grows up listening to these stories from her grandmother, Tala. Even as a child, she remembers her grandmother saying that one day, someone will find Te Fiti's heart and make Maui restore the mother island. Moana is the daughter of Motunui's chief, Tui, and his wife, Sina. As a chief, Tui has forbidden everyone to sail outside the reef to keep his people safe from the danger that lies just behind it. When Moana was young, the sea welcomed and played with her and even showed her the glowing green Te Fiti's heart. But growing up, she thought it was just her imagination and doesn't know that she is the chosen one. Moana has been brought up by her parents to be the next chief of Motunui. However, a part of her heart always longs to explore the sea outside the reef. 16 years later after the birth of Moana, the effect of stealing Te Fiti's heart starts to show on Motunui, as vegetation starts to die, and the population of fishes gradually declines. Seeing this, Moana suggests going beyond the reef to fish, but Tui is strictly against it. Later that day, Sina comes to soothe her angry daughter. She reveals that once in the past, Tui also tried sailing beyond the reef with his best friend. But unfortunately, his friend was killed in an accident caused by the soaring sea waves. Tui feels guilty about not being able to save his friend, but the least he can do now is to save his daughter from the sea. Nevertheless, Moana ventures beyond the reef with her pet pig, Pua, in search of the fish. However, once she crosses the reef, the wave crashes her sail, resulting in an accident, which leaves Moana with a bruised leg. And with this, they are once again thrown back to the beach, prompting her grandmother to catch her. Moana is about to give up on her dream to sail the sea, but just then, Tala takes her to a hidden cave and unveils a secret about their ancestors. Meanwhile, Moana notices huge ships inside the cave and bangs the drum as her grandmother has instructed her. And as the torches light up, their past comes out alive in her eyes. Moana comes to find out that her ancestors were actually voyagers, who explored the sea for the new islands. And that was until Maui stole Te Fiti's heart and brought the curse on his people. Now, Tala hands Moana the heart of Te Fiti and tells her that the ocean has chosen her. She further claims that the stars aligned in the shape of the hook will be her guide to Maui. Moana excitedly goes to tell her father about the cavern of boats, and claims that they can use those boats to search for Maui and save their island. But Tui flares in anger and heads towards the cavern grabbing a torch. He tells Moana that he should have burned down those boats a long time ago. Then, Tui throws away the green heart that Moana shows him. However, the girl swiftly runs and grabs the heart, but she notices the canes of her grandmother. Just then, one of the villagers calls them back home, where we see Tala on her deathbed. Even in her last moment, Tala encourages Moana to go find Maui. She clearly instructs the girl that once she finds Maui, she has to grab him by his ear and tell him I am Moana of Motunui. You will board my boat, sail across the sea, and restore the heart of Te Fiti. Then, Tala bids hesitant Moana a final goodbye, and gives her a pendant that houses the heart of Te Fiti. Without further ado, Moana sets sail on a small boat. Following the hook-shaped constellation, she passes the reef without much trouble. Only on the next morning, when she is in the middle of the sea, Moana notices that her silly chicken is also on board. And throughout the sail, Moana keeps on practicing her lines. But when night falls, they get caught in a typhoon and the ship ends up on an island. Unbelievably, she finds Maui there and sees that this demigod is full of himself and boasts about being a hero. Not being able to withstand his blabber, Moana grabs him by his ears and tells him exactly what she has practiced. However, the petite Moana couldn't move him an inch. Sensing her hatred for him, Maui traps her in a cave, but Moana is not going to give up that easily. She escapes from the cave, but couldn't catch up with Maui. However, the sea is on her side, and Moana finds out that Maui is afraid of Te Fiti's heart. He tells Moana that she is going to attract her misfortune with that heart. But shortly after, they are under the attack of Kakamora, the little coconut pirates. Amidst their battle, the heart gets eaten by Haihei, which is then taken away by the Kakamora. Maui demonstrates his cool moves in sailing the boat, only to make an attempt on escaping. However, Moana could neither leave behind her chicken nor the heart in the hands of those pirates. So, she goes back to them and makes a narrow escape. However, this victory is still not convincing enough for Maui to come along and restore Te Fiti's heart. He tells Moana that there are many obstacles on the way, especially Te Ka, the lava monster. While he is talking about those stories, Moana notices different tattoos on his body. Taking advantage of his hero complex, she convinces Maui to go to find Te Fiti after finding his hook. They first head to the lair of Tamatoa, a sea scavenging crab. Maui is sure that Tamatoa would have his hook. And on the way, he is forced to teach Moana the skills of a wayfinder, studying the stars. Finally, they arrive at the secret entrance to Tamatoa's, from where they dive into the depth of the sea. There are different sea monsters inside the lair of Tamatoa. However, Maui plans to use Moana as bait to distract Tamatoa to grab his fish hook lying on its back. Next, Maui eventually gets back his hook, but after a century of not using it, he cannot seem to control his shape-shifting ability. In the meantime, Tamatoa is able to take back the hook into his collection. But just then, Moana, with her quick thinking, attracts it with a barnacle, covered with glowing algae, to make it appear as Te Fiti's heart. In this way, they manage to retrieve the hook and escape to the land. On their journey, Moana tells him about her dying island and expresses her desire to help him revive it. And when Moana asks him about his tattoos, Maui claims that he has earned them. It first appeared when his human parents abandoned him right after his birth. He was then adopted by the gods who gave him the hook and made him a demigod. Maui then worked for the welfare of the people. At this point, Moana realizes that Maui had stolen that heart for the people. But he still feels that it was not enough for them. Hearing this, Moana tells him that it is he himself who made him the Maui he is today. Now, Moana's words encourage him to grab the hook once more. And this time, he is able to successfully control his shape-shifting ability. Next, they are on the way to Te Fiti. And on the way, Maui teaches Moana the basics of sailing the boat and finding their way by studying the stars. At last, they reach Te Fiti, where Moana gives him the glowing green heart and tells him to go. However, it is not only them at the sea, Te Ka is also ready to take them down before they approach Te Fiti. And as they have a stare down, Te Ka just simply blocks their path. Meanwhile, Moana notices how the water would affect the lava monster and delay its restoration. Seeing the small opening on the rocks, Moana thinks that she could make it past it. Despite Maui asking her to turn back, she doesn't comply and Te Ka raises its hand to land a powerful hit on them. Right on time, Maui manages to block it, but it only ends up damaging his hook. Later that night, Maui tells Moana that he is not going back to face Te Ka. He is afraid that one more strike on his hook will totally break it. And without his hook, he feels powerless. So, Maui drops the heart and decides to leave. Even until the last moment, they bicker with each other. Moana blames Maui for everything because he has stolen the heart in the first place. And they quarrel. Maui tells her that the only reason they are in this place is because Moana believes that the ocean chose her. And in this way, the two part ways on the wrong terms. As a result, Moana is left alone in the boat and asks the sea to choose someone else to restore the heart. And with this, the water takes the heart and disappears into the sea. But just when Moana breaks into tears, her grandmother's spirit visits her. Tala tells Moana that she can go back if she is ready. However, the little girl hesitates to row back. Now, knowing her granddaughter's ambition, Tala once again reminds the little girl of what she is capable of. Next, Moana retrieves the heart from the depth of the sea. She then mends her boat to resume her journey to Te Fiti. And after traveling for quite a few days, she once again stands in front of Te Ka. Seeing her back again, Te Kā aggressively attacks her boat. But Moana puts all the skills that she has learned in this journey into action and heads forward. One time, she is on the verge of almost losing the heart, but thankfully, Haihei picks it up right on time. She then makes it past Te Kā, but still, it keeps attacking her from a distance. Now, just when Te Kā puts his hand on the little girl, Maui comes to her rescue. And as he bravely deals with Te Kā, Maui tells Moana to continue to the island. Soon, Moana reaches the island where Te Fiti once rested, whereas Te Kā becomes restless and prepares for the final blow. Nevertheless, Maui manages to block it with his damaged hook. And in the process, the hook breaks down, and his powers vanish as well. On the other hand, Moana reaches the top of the island and sees that Te Fiti can no longer be found there. She then takes a look at Te Fiti's heart on her hand and notices a similar spiral pattern on Te Kā's chest. At this point, Maui tries to attract all of Te Kā's attention to him. However, Moana commands the sea to let Te Kā come. And with this, the water parts away to make a way for Te Kā. Eventually, Moana calms Te Kā down and restores the heart in the void chest, acknowledging Te Fiti's existence. The heart makes Te Fiti blossom once more, and the island itself revives on her arrival. With this, Maui apologizes to Te Fiti for his wrongdoings. And on the bright side, Te Fiti forgives him and gives him a brand new hook, while also making a new boat for Moana. And after that, she rests peacefully and turns into an island. Now, when Moana asks Maui to join her, he politely tells her that he cannot travel with her. However, the two promise to see each other in the future, while sailing the vastness of the ocean. And with one more story, Maui earns another tattoo, where Moana is also depicted. Eventually, Moana returns back home where her village people waiting for her. And with her arrival, the village has also come back to life. On the following day, the huge boats are taken out of the cavern, and Moana leads her people into the sea as their wayfinder. And like we all expected, Maui also joins them on the sea. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. If you also have thoughts you intend to share, kindly leave them in the comment section. See you in the next video.